And we are back with the Friday Night Magic coverage here at Nexus Esports. I have with me one of the contestants tonight, Jake Bourne, who we love his name, by the way. He's actually been a regular up here at Nexus Esports Friday Night Magic events. Jake, would you like to talk about yourself?
Hi, how y'all doing? I'm Jake. Like you said, I have been playing here for probably a couple months now, and I usually stay to aggro decks, and unfortunately, I got out pretty early in this tournament. And I just excited to see how this next game turns out. I lost to this deck round one.
Yep, we definitely got that on coverage. Jake actually caught a bye in round 4. We had a contestant drop out, so he's going to go ahead and call it at a 2-2 record, I think, tonight.
Yeah, 2-2.
So, fortunately for me, that means I have a co-caster now, and I'm not going to be falling asleep anymore. So, we got Zach and Jake both as Jake.
Yep.
We have to come up with something here. Mr. Bourne. Let's call you Mr. Bourne.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that I'm going to start calling you Jason.
Whatever works for you.
Hi, Mr. Bourne. But we saw you go up against Jake D here. What'd you think about this deck?
So this deck is very explosive. It really depends on the hand you get. He's running Burning Tree Emissaries, Bushwhackers, Hidden Herbalists. He's basically trying to make as much value per turn as he can. And if
tempo-based aggro deck, kind of.
Yes, and if he gets a good enough hand, there's just no being quicker than him. Zach's going to have a hard time, even if he cascades to restore balance to catch up, because, in all honesty, he doesn't need that much to really get ahead in this game.
True, although if Zach doesn't have any creatures, restore balance does work as a board wipe.
Mm-hmm.
The problem, of course, is going to be who's on the play, and I do think Jake D is going to be on the play here.
Yeah, let's see.
And that's going to be unfortunate for Zach, because that's a lot of forward momentum in a deck that's already very tempo-based.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's that card that Zach just played?
I think it's a border post.
Okay.
And so I'm sure you're familiar. The border post artifact, 3-drop artifact, but you can cheat into play by paying 1 and bouncing a land to your hand, which is the crux of just abusing restore balance.
Yeah.
There, of course, comes out the Pelt Collector.
And I did see a Vexing Devil in hand earlier. It's a quick little combo that got me earlier as well.
And honestly, there's just no win with this particular combo. Mm-hmm. Because if you take the 4, Pelt Collector becomes a 3/3 body. 1 more counter, and it's a 4/4. Otherwise, it's a 2/2, and they have a 4/3 body. And that's just devastating.
Yeah, and that's a Narnum Renegade. That Revolt trigger comes in with a +1/+1 counter.
Mm-hmm.
That is +1/+2.
Death Touch?
Death Touch.
Yep, so it becomes a 2/3 Death Touch.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, a powerful card. Although I don't think Zach's going to necessarily worry about a Death Touch off the top here. There, of course, is the Greater Gargadon. Suspends for 10, and you can sacrifice artifacts, lands, and creatures, I think, to remove suspend counters from it.
This next turn is going to be really big for Jake. See what he can do, because that threat of a Cascade is right around the corner.
All right, so there comes the Vexing Devil. Going to put the ++ counter on Pelt Collector. Zach is going to take the 4, making Pelt Collector a 4/4, which also makes him trample. Mm-hmm. Not that it matters. And that's going to be quick damage coming in. I don't think Zach paid attention to that death trigger.
I don't think so. I think that it might have been more so he was reading what gives it trample, because I never know when it gets trample. That just gets +1/+1 counters. Eventually it has it.
Yep. So Zach down to 10 here. Very, very dangerous ground for Zach, because one more, like you said, explosive burst of damage, and this is it for Zach. So he's really got to come through with something. He doesn't have the time to rely on restore balance to win the day here.
And that is an Ardent Plea, I think.
Ardent Plea.
Yep, that's exactly what that was. An Ardent Plea. It's a Cascade trigger.
It is an enchantment. It is exalted and a Cascade. So he is looking for the restore balance coming out. That's going to fix that creature situation real nice, and going to set Jake back a bit, because that's also all the lands.
Mm-hmm. But as I said earlier, it's good news that doesn't take much of this deck to start off, but definitely putting it back is it needs a lot of cards in hand. It needs to have that.
Well, anything that's tempo based, unfortunately, is going to rely on gas in hand. So the more resources Jake had to expend, the more overextended he becomes. The typical matchup you used to see with the typical aggro versus turn 4 board wipe. If you overextended and didn't get the kill, turn 4 comes, that's it. You're done. You're cardless and you have no creatures anymore.
But, yeah, no, definitely. It's going to be hard to get back, especially if he starts sacking those border posts to get Greater Gargadon out quicker.
Oh, yeah,
That's
definitely.
going to start being scary in a little bit. Because I think he just... he doesn't have any...
lands, it seems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does run Path to Exile sideboard, but not main board. I saw that in our match. All he has access to now is just Lightning Bolt and a couple Lightning Helixes, but unless he has 3 in hand.
Very critical Argent plea there for Zach. Looks like he's going to possibly take this game 1. And I do believe that that Greater Gargadon has less than 6 time counters on it now because he has removed all the dice.
It's looking like 4 or 5.
Can you sacrifice creatures to get the counters off? I know it's lands and artifacts.
I'm not 100% sure.
Well, we
let's
have
pull it
this
up.
handy dandy thing.
Yep. I know for a fact that you are supposed to sack lands to it. Because Ardor, creature, land. Okay. Yep.
So he could sacrifice all his spirits to get in the lethal damage, assuming he's got it.
And that is off suspend. That's coming in without summoning sickness, or does it still have summoning sickness as it comes in?
I think it doesn't because it's casted, right? It's a normal cast, and it has to be done when the counters are removed. Mm-hmm. Here's the cool thing, right? If the suspend counters come off, the spell is cast.
Yeah.
So if those counters all come off on your opponent's turn, you cast it. So that would be the trick. Cast it on the end of your opponent's turn. Bring it out.
Yeah, definitely. It's really it's not looking good for Jake right now. I know that...
Looks like that's going to be lethal. They're scooping it up. Very, very... How do I want to say this? Nerves of Steel probably comes to mind. Like, just seeing it come at him. 10 damage. Oh, God. What to do? Argent plea. Restore balance. Fix this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that he had it. I think that he had what he needed in hand to start the game with, and that made him a little bit more confident. But I'm really interested to see what both players are going to bring in from the sideboard in this matchup. Like, how do you... I'm wondering what Jake's responses are going to be to something like Restore Balance. I mean, maybe Artifact Tape to slow down the border posts?
That's the only thing I can think of. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't count the Restore Balance. Restore Balance doesn't have the same effect, obviously, as Greater Gargadon. Mm-hmm. I mean, hating on the border posts can stifle Zach's mana. A turn 2 Smash to Smithereens would cripple Zach at a critical junction. Doing that on turn 2 and turn 3, though you would lose the explosiveness of his board state, would allow him to get damage in and set Zach back and allow him to set up for a larger turn 4 where he could very easily come out with like your Burning Tree Emissaries, your Bushwhackers all at once.
And just push through, yeah. I'm actually, it's not run a lot, but I am hoping to see a Shattering Spree from Jake. The 1 mana
replicate spell.
Replicate.
Like shatter.
I love that. Just wipe out all the board posts.
It's a possibility, although we did notice that Jake was a little mana starved. I mean, he was running all that off 2 mana.
Yeah.
He only sacrificed 2 lands to restore balance. He just never got another land. Well, he did, obviously.
After that, yeah. I don't know. I couldn't see. Maybe he was expecting it and he kept another one in hand. I didn't see if he had it in the beginning.
The other big play, don't forget the other part of Restore Balance. You sacrifice the lands, you sacrifice the creatures. You also discard cards.
Oh,
the more Zach pounds out his resources, the more likely it is that his opponent then has to discard down. And that can be extremely critical. It's a card that literally rewards you for overextending as a player, right? Because if you just move If you play via artifacts and enchantments, because those aren't affected by Restore Balance at all.
Yeah.
It just destroys your opponent's ability to play if they're playing in a more typical setup with creatures, lands, and cards in hand. I like this deck.
I like both these decks. I'm gonna be honest with you. Both of these really seem fun to be playing tonight.
I don't suppose you caught game or round 2 with Restore Balance versus Blue-White Control?
I didn't. I was busy losing to 8-Rack.
Makes sense. That 8-Rack deck was savage.
Ooh, I was close, and then game 1 I was about to win, and he dropped an Ensnaring Bridge, and I'm just standing there with some Steel Leaf Champions, like, I'm just gonna scoop here.
No answer to Ensnaring Bridge in your
Not
deck?
main board.
Woo!
Sideboard, all I have are a few Naturalizes and a Natural State.
I don't know, like, so let me hit you with some of my personal logic, right? If your deck has a very specific weakness, right, and we saw this like 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
If you are running, let's say, an aggro deck, and you know Ensnaring Bridge is going to be the card that just shuts you down, maybe it's not such a crazy idea to mainboard an answer. I know it feels niche, but if you're like, haha, your creatures don't matter, your lands don't matter, but this one artifact,
I mean, the thing is, 1 second, we'll get back to this match. But the thing is,
they'll be shuffling for like the next 2 minutes.
With those kind of matchups, if you can't beat a card, just don't play around it. You know what I mean? Like my first match, I had to actually slow down the deck a little bit, as funny as it sounds, by adding Scavenging Ooze to it. And so that slowed it down because I was taking out two drops that were 3/3s. And
what was that card, by the way?
Colonian Tusker.
That's what it was. Okay.
Just good
I was trying to figure out what it was. It's like, it's not Rakdos. Rakdos is... There's no way he's playing Rakdos. Although, by the way, Rakdos would have been phenomenal in that game.
It would have, but I try to keep lower to the ground with that deck. I mean, it's not my main one, but it's my favorite. So I just like messing around with the little... I like when the little $100 decks end up eating these $800, 1,000 plus. It just makes me happy inside. Well, it looks like Jake started out with a Vexing Devil, and Zach just took that.
That's not probably the play Jake wanted, though. You know, he loves that combo with Pelt Collector and Vexing Devil. So
I did see at the very beginning he had a Wild Nacatl in hand, so I don't know if it was right to play Vexing Devil first.
There's also, and I'm not sure, but it looks like he cracked and fetched. He fetched and shocked a land in to do that.
Oh, he has another Vexing Devil in hand. Oh, okay, so that is Hidden Herbalist. That is going to give him 2 green mana because a permanent left the field when he casted it, aka his fetch land. So he's going to come in, that's going to give him 2 green mana right off the back, and I wouldn't be surprised if he had a Burning Tree Emissary in hand to go off of that. Just those revolt triggers, they'll get you real fast.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why I love to run a Fatal Push in a deck that uses expendable mana tokens, because you crack that mana token. Oh, look, a permanent that can left the battlefield.
Well, that was turn 2, 8 power on the board with 2 3/3 Wild Nacatls and that. Swing.
That is a lot of damage coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I do wish he'd slow down a little bit, because he's kind of getting a little ahead of himself.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely... Oh, well, it looks like Zach's just going to scoop there.
Yeah, that's too fast.
I mean, that's what that deck's looking to do, you know? It's like...
If you remember, Wild Nacatl was banned for a while because Magic said it was too fast.
It died for Deathrite Shaman Sins, yes.
Yep.
That and what was the other one? What's the Cascade Elf? Bloodbraid?
Bloodbraid.
Yeah.
Of course, Bloodbraid and Nacatl and Mind Sculptor are all back with us.
Mm-hmm.
As we saw Mind Sculptor earlier tonight. Did you see the... Oh, wait, I actually asked you earlier. Well, during the game 2, or round 2, and it was actually game 2, brilliant play by the blue-white player. He was getting beat down by a 4/4 token.
Yeah.
He had a Cryptic Command in hand, but he knew the Greater Gargadon was waiting to be cast. He just patiently waited until he was at 6 life, and Zach went for the kill play, casted the Greater Gargadon by rushing it out, sacking his lands to do so. Well, he Cryptic Command, countered the spell, bounce the token. You have no lands. I have 11. This is my game now. Brilliantly done.
Yeah, that's just...
I love the 4D chest of a control deck.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, who won that chess match earlier?
Oh, who won that chess match? Jake D.
Huh.
He has beaten me twice tonight, both in Magic and chess. Hopefully tonight at the pre-release that won't continue to be the same.
Which, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, we are in fact having a pre-release for War of the Spark, with the novel having been released earlier this week. I've actually been enjoying the novel over the past week. It's good.
It's good.
It's good.
I'm not gonna lie to you and everybody else. I have not really been paying attention of the cards in War of the Spark. Would you have any ideas of what to look out for? Like any good cards coming up?
So there's some critical planeswalkers that are going to be phenomenal, both in effect and in value.
I've been told the Karn is phenomenal value, but I can't confirm that.
I feel like the Teferi is going to be a sleeper until he comes out.
Mm-hmm.
People are really going Timmy over the new Ashiok as well.
Really?
So the new Teferi is like the original Teferi creature. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
The Planeswalker does that.
Yeah,
now.
Mage of Xanathar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
or
your
Xanathar.
opponent now plays at sorcery speed. You always play at instant speed.
Mm-hmm.
Your opponent can no longer play counter spells. Is the literal context.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that the Ashiok prevents your opponent, and only your opponent apparently, from searching their library. It is a one-sided, non-negatable Leonin Arbiter.
That's really good.
Yep. Kills fetches in a format that needs fetches. Oh!
So, I am still amazed at somehow Modern is finding ways to speed up more and more. It's just not slowing down. I'm hoping that Modern Horizons helps in a little bit as well. Just slow everything down, because stuff like that, like Ashiok taking out fetch lands, I think it's going to be something healthy. Just tell everybody to hold on, be careful, take a step back.
The problem is unfortunately, Wizards has found in their market research that when control is dominant, players are unhappy. I say it's unfortunate because I am a control player at heart. Control combo.
I knew I didn't like you.
But I definitely like to control the state of the game, because I discovered early on that I do not like turning creatures sideways as fast as possible.
Yeah.
It is not in my personality. It is not in my my spark of sparks, as it were. I like to slow the game down to my speed.
And see, like, you're probably better than me, because I've turned from an aggro player when I very started to I'm a dirty combo player. I mean, my deck right now is ad nauseum. Some people would say that's even worse than being in control, so...
I mean, Ad Nauseam has plenty of control mechanics built into it. I played against an Ad Nauseam player, and he stopped everything I did to try to stop him.
Yeah. The amount of cards we have to add in now for all the hatred is ridiculous. I'm literally running a cleric that says your opponent can't cast any spells on your turn.
Grand
Abolisher.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to... It's not even to get on the board. You just want to bait it. It's like, say, counter this or you lose. And then hopefully they have to counter that and then spend the mana. And then you just go for the combo. Well, let's see. Looks like... Is that going down to 6 here?
I don't know. He might still be just shuffling.
I did see a pile shuffle, so he might have. So what do you think both players are going to need if they want to win this next matchup?
Zach has to get the turn 3 Ardent Plea. He's going to be on the play for the first time this round, though.
Yeah.
So that's going to give him the early momentum to get ahead of Jake D. He won't really care if his opponent explodes like he did last time, if he can get that turn 3 restore balance and kill all those creatures.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
Especially since he'll probably reciprocate with not just destroying the creatures, but the land base as well.
And with Zach on the play, I'm hoping that Jake's thinking, maybe I shouldn't just throw everything out on the board, like keep power, but also realize that if he gets that restore balance out, there's only so much you can do, you know?
Yep. So there's going to be a fetch into a basic into a suspended Greater Gargadon. So there's, of course, going to be the Vexing Devil coming out. I think Zach's probably going to take it.
You know, in this matchup, I actually wouldn't mind probably leaving Vexing Devil on, save a little bit of damage early maybe, and then depending on the restore balance player's hand, of course, Zach's hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking like he might be set.
Brilliantly done. Did you see what he did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was so well done. Quick fetch coming in.
Mm-hmm. Going down to 15. Let's hope that doesn't. Should we hit 14 or 15? Oh, I think he just had Stomping Ground natural to begin the game with. Hidden Herbalist. Oh. Well, 6 power in quick succession.
Yep.
All off that.
So, does Zach have the Ardent Plea? Nope, but he has a Ghost Quarter, and that's going to affect a lot.
The Ghostly Prison's almost worse.
Sorry, not Ghost Quarter, Ghostly Prison. Thank you. I meant to say Ghostly Prison, I swear. Pull that up.
It's, if I'm correct, it's you have to pay 2 mana for each attacking creature. And Zach has the best art because he has the art from Kamigawa.
I know where he got it, too.
You?
Yep. Had one of those for years, been sleeping on it, waiting to build a deck around Ghostly Prison. I just never could get a playset. So finally, I just sold the ones I had.
You should just do Green, White, Enchantress in Modern. It's a fun deck. I messed around with it for a hot second.
I typically like to play Esper colors or some variation of Esper. So I love blue-white control. I love blue-black. I love black-white. I love blue-black-white. I don't think there's any other way to combine those 3 colors. So, yeah.
I mean, you do what makes you happy.
Oh.
Hopefully your opponents won't dislike you too much.
So basically we have a camera coming down from the ceiling, and then it just is suspended, not obviously supported, but suspended over the table outside of the streaming room.
It's going to cost him 4 mana to attack with any creature now after that second one. Unless he finds some sort of enchantment removal, I think that Zach can pretty safely say he's wrapped this up.
It's like an ensnaring bridge, but worse.
I mean, just because eventually it's
we're running off a computer.
That restore balance is coming.
Of course, he still has the mana to still get through here bit by bit. Well, thank you, Benda Badass? Is that how you say that? Benda Badass?
Oh, yeah, Benda Bass. He is actually part of the friend group of me and the 2 other Jakes who are all here tonight.
Okay.
He chose to spend time with his girlfriend instead of playing Magic. Can you believe that?
What is wrong with you? No, I feel you. So Jake D just getting in for that easy damage. Trying to get where damage he can in on Zach while there's still damage to get in. I think Zach is without a hand right now.
Is Zach empty-handed?
I think he is.
So this is coming down to a top decking war then.
A little bit. And I'm assuming Jake has some answer.
Yes.
He's got to have some answer, otherwise he would have scooped, I think, because, well, I mean, technically he does have a way to keep getting in the damage.
I mean, if he has any sort of 1 mana enchantment removal, suddenly he's getting in for 4 damage and he's putting Zach on a 1-turn clock.
Yep. That is correct. They cannot hear us right now, because if they could, I'd be cursing at them. Just for fun, actually. No actual malice intended. It is kind of unfortunate that Jake has to spend all his mana to swing, though. That prevents him from changing his board state.
He has to just be looking for stuff. Maybe he's running Ancient Grudge?
Possibly. Zach counting down to see. I think he has a Restore Balance on the field, though. That is that card next to Greater Gargadon. So, yeah, Zach's literally just counting the minutes, as it were.
So I think he might be in reference to Wild Coddle.
So we just saw actually the creature swing in. Zach instantly, like I told you earlier, right, with the suspend mechanic, instantly pulled out the 9/10 Gargadon and blocked with it, destroying the creature and limiting Jake's board state further. I mean, at this junction, Zach's just waiting for something to happen at this point. If Restore Balance goes off, Jake goes down to one creature, 0 lands, and as many cards as Zach's got in hand. And then Zach just gets to kind of swing through at that point.
Yeah, I mean, he's just... Greater Gargadon's just a 9/7, right? No trample? Nothing
No,
else
no
special
trample.
about it? Well, he has a few... That Restore Balance is coming down in 3 turns? 2 turns, looks like?
Unfortunately, your eyesight, ironically, is a lot sharper than mine.
Yeah, this is just turning into a top decking battle. Magic at its peak.
Oh, definitely.
That's going to be 3 damage to Zach. I mean, 6 damage to Zach. So he's just searching for that bolt. He has...
What were those cards that he
Charms.
just dealt damage with? What were those that he just cast?
Oh, Atarka's Command.
Oh, yeah.
One
Okay,
of the
yeah.
modes is an opponent takes 3 damage. So...
That is one. It's down to 1 time counter left on that Restore Balance. So it kind of comes down to this.
yeah.
That's
And
the bolt.
Jake gets the bolt. Does Zach have a response?
A Dawn Charm would be it. Nope,
That's
gonna
it.
shake it. That would have been game next turn for Zach, but unfortunately, no, not gonna happen.
I don't think that game went how either player would really want it to either in the end there. Zach just getting that Restore Balance so much later than he needed it, and having to resort to the burn plan was really hard on the other side.
Very close, almost taking it 4-0 for Zach, but it looks like it's gonna go to Jake D. If I got his record right, I believe he was 3-0 for the
He
game.
was. He's been
So
doing-
Jake's gonna go undefeated. Very close match though. Very, very close.
I do know that the 3 decks he's beat has been Mono Green Aggro tonight. He's beaten Restore Balance, and he played Infect earlier, and he came through that as well.
Yep.
I am not aware of his 4th match. I don't know if you would be, but he's definitely come through a few tricky situations to get here.
Jake Daniel here is a fantastic player. So we're going to cut to a quick commercial, but when we come back, I will have Jake Daniel with me, and I will be asking him about his deck, his night, and his plans for the upcoming pre-release. So stick with us, and we will be right back. This has been your casters, Edward Teague and his guest, Mr. Bourne, here at Nexus Esports.
Y'all have a good night. Thanks for having me for a little bit.
Thank you. And we are back with the winner's interview. Here I have Mr. Jake Daniel with me. Jake, if you'd like to introduce yourself a little bit.
Hello, I'm Jake. I've been on here before, but second time around. I was playing Dredge last time, so I was the bad guy.
Well, what are you talking about? We love Dredge. Of course, my co-caster Patrick wasn't here tonight, so he was the one that interviewed you last time.
Yeah.
This is going to be fresh for me. So, Bushwacker Zoo. Basically Naya Zoo?
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same deck. I think Naya Zoo is the same. It was like Naya Burn back in a while ago. There hasn't been like a Naya. I mean, I guess Burn plays Naya spells in the sideboard, but Destructive Reverie, stuff like that. But it's more creature based, obviously, than burn spells. There's still a lot of burn spells though in it.
That's how you won. Actually.
There's still a lot of bolt. It's bolt's a bolt. And
that was a fantastic amount of damage you did towards the end there.
Yeah.
Came down to that last turn. I want to know how many bullets are we gonna have to sweep up later because of how many bullets you were sweating.
A lot, because he mulled to 5, so I was figuring he was getting face. Stuff that prevented me from hitting face. Atarka's Command gets around that, but Bolt obviously doesn't, and Boros Charm doesn't. So that would have been like 8 cards that are just dead in my hand, if that's the case. Because I think Boros, the other modes are like get my team indestructible. Congratulations against Border Post.
So you took game 1. You took game 2. You lost game 1. How did you feel when that Ardent Plea hit the battlefield?
The what?
The Ardent Plea.
Okay, so I'd never played against Border Post, so I had to look at it for a second, and I was like, ah, crap, because he's like 3 or less. I was like, you mean 2 or less? Because it's something like, I'm guessing that you don't want to be, because he was flipping over a bunch of 3 drops, and he got it out pretty fast too, because I was like, dang it, because I was like, if I can get the first game, I think I'm good. So after that, I lost that first game. I was like, oh no, like he gets sideboard. I saw a Ghostly Prison and stuff like that. So I was like, Ghostly Prison feels bad. Third game, it didn't. I happened to draw a lot of lands, which normally isn't okay, but it worked out. So I was like, well, that works. And then it forced him to sacrifice a bunch of stuff to his Greater Gargadon, or to get it out. And I had a bunch of chump blockers, so I just once he did that, in the third game, I was just on the burn plan, essentially.
So let's talk about this for a second. So we saw you game 1, or not sorry, game 1, round 1.
Yep.
And when I was seeing you round 4, we saw Zach in round 2. Mm-hmm. In round 1, you played against a mono-green kind of Stompie deck.
Yeah.
And how did you feel going up against that?
I feel like I have a bit of an advantage just because I have removal over him. He just kind of plays stuff and then buffs it, and combat tricks and stuff like that. I have a few combat tricks, but mostly it's just my stuff is just slightly more efficient.
Winning through versatility.
Yeah, it's stuff like Atarka's Command, give my stuff +1/+1 and deal you 3, as opposed to him, he can just buff his guy. He's got a few hexproof creatures, which are nice, but like I don't think he gained too much over the 2 colors. And I was hurting myself a lot, so I was kind of worried about crackbacks, but I had enough burn in my hand, and Vexing Devil plus Pelt Collector is really nice. And I think I had that in both games. I'm not sure, but Vexing Devil plus Pelt Collector is very nice.
So by the way, that combo with Pelt Collector and Vexing Devil, I love that combo.
Yeah.
That combo is fantastic.
Yeah, Zach had to take a look at it. He's like, wait, why did he get 2 counters? I'm like, well, you sacrificed it, so whenever it enters or leaves.
I knew it. He didn't realize the death trigger.
He didn't know. So he took the 4, and he's like, wait, why did he get 2? I'm like, well, it came in and then it left, so it gets 2. He's like, oh. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty great. I like it a lot. So
that actually ended up giving it the 3 counters for the trample, right? That
yes.
particular game.
Yeah. I don't think it's the trample's probably not going to matter in Border Post, but I got it in Infect. I was playing Infect round 2. I lost to it, but I got it. I don't often get the 3 counters to give it trample. It doesn't often happen. Most of the time, you're just doing like turn 1 Pelt Collector, turn 2 Burning Tree, Bushwacker swing for like a stupid amount, a large amount of damage.
So round 2, we saw Zach on the stream against a blue-white control deck. Did you get to play against that blue-white control deck?
I did not play against that
First off, I was timming out about it because I'm a control player at heart, right? And it was running Jace the Mind Sculptor, which was amazing to me because the only other blue-white control deck I saw main boards Teferi, and not really I didn't see a Mind Sculptor in that particular deck that I saw.
Yeah.
So it was really a throwback.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Mind Sculptor really make a move to the forefront. Since
I know he was
unbanned.
playing Terminus, so Terminus plus Jace feels pretty nice because you can just set up that. But yeah, and mainly everybody on the blue-white control is just Teferi's just really good.
Zach, I definitely came. I didn't have Zach pegged in round 2 at all. I was like, he's going to take game 1. Control player is going to do what control player does, which is sideboard every answer he needs. Mm-hmm. Of course, he took it game 2 with a phenomenal cryptic command.
Yeah.
And then game 3, I was like, okay, it's going to go. Zach's going to be on the play, but it's going to be a long grudge match until blue-white control basically just locks Zach down.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, blue player gets overconfident, goes shields down, making a huge play and all this stuff, getting set up to do all these things. And then Zach's like, oh, your shield's down. Argent plea, restore balance.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, what? You cast it? Yeah. It's not suspended. It's cast.
Yep.
Just came out and obliterated his lands.
Yeah.
Just obliterated them. It was a phenomenal play. Zach, of course, is just a really good player. You're a solid player. It was a really good match seeing it come down to literally the wire there.
Yeah.
Because what was that? Restore balance had 1 suspend counter left?
I can't remember. I was holding lands in hand, because I was like, okay, well, because he had more cards in hand than I did at that point, because I was just kind of dumping my hand and trying to get it out. So I think I was holding a land. So I was like, if I can just hold a land and then draw, if he does get the balance off, I can just play a land, hope to draw, and then just go from there. And a lot of times during that third game, he had a land on the field, so I was like, okay, hopefully it hurts him too, or he's got more lands than me, but no, he's never going to have more lands than me. I had a lot of lands that third game, but I was hoping to keep 1. I was hoping to keep 1 land and then bolt.
So in wrapping it up here, I don't know. So what are your plans for tonight? Because tonight's the pre-release for War of the Spark. Are you going to be attending the pre-release?
Yeah, I'm signed up for it.
So what's your kind of hopefuls you're looking out for War of the Spark?
I have actually not looked at any spoilers, so I'm hoping.
By the way, I heard in in-game Dumbledore dies.
Oh man, freaking heck! I heard he's Darth Vader's son too.
Yeah.
So.
Not a spoiler guy, huh?
No, well, I'm not really a standard player. I never have played standard, so unless something I say I haven't looked at spoilers. I know a few, like the new Ugin stuff like that, where it's just like some of the people are like, oh, we could put this in modern, maybe possibly.
I don't know if you've heard about it.
Or the
Liliana's
Green Sun
Triumph.
Zenith. That's the bad, or not the bad. It's a Green Sun Zenith, essentially. But it gets something if you cast it for 10 or more, something like that.
I'm not. I actually am not familiar with that one.
There's 2 or 3 cards that I know in the whole spoiler, and that's it. So
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, Liliana's Triumph is instantly going in modern. It's Edict, and they discard a card if you have control of Liliana.
Oh, okay. No, I think I've seen some of the Planeswalker oriented cards that they aren't Planeswalkers, but they're.
Well, I wish you luck in the pre-release because I'm not 100% sure, but you get your pack, you get your packs, you get your starter thing or whatever.
Hopefully my pool's pretty good.
Yeah, and then you play and enjoy, and there's prizes. So, Jake, it's been good having you on again, and I hope you continue to enjoy your time here at Nexus Esports.
Yeah. Thank you.
This has been Jake Daniel, the I guess technically tying for top seat. Three people tie? I have no idea how the tiebreakers worked out. Let's just put it this way. He beat Zach. It's fantastically done. Sorry, Zach. You got beat. All right. But, this has been Nexus Esports. Thank you for being on with us.
Yep.